The idea of somatics is to regard the body as the text of our soul. Our psyche is always trying to communicate with us, and the body is one of the ways in which our soul gets to speak with us. Somatic alchemy is a process whereby we delve into our unconscious through our body, and in this sense we are regarding the body like an x-ray of our psyche, and we get to understand ourselves a lot better by learning how to speak the language of our soul or our psyche through its communication through our body and also our dreams. So in each session we listen and feel, and we wait for the emergence of communication through whether it's emotions, it's color, memory, story, or a physical sensation, and we are present with the image of whatever it is that arises, and we practice deep listening to all of these different images that are bubbling up from the body. And if we hang around long enough, we begin to develop more and more trust within the contents of ourselves, of our unconscious. That's when more parts of us begin to come out from hiding and say hi. I like to think about somatic alchemy as us opening the doors to the orphaned parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed, that we didn't know we have forgotten about. These parts of ourselves that we have shut down or shut out because once upon a time they either got us in trouble or they were not approved of by people whom we do need approval from, like our caretakers when we were growing up. Whether it's the rebel or the angsty teen within us that maybe got pushed down and suppressed, it's like opening the doors and inviting and holding space for all these parts of us to return home, and letting every single part feel like an equal to each other, and that every single part belongs. A lot of times clients come seeking somatic therapy when there is an area of their lives that they may be feeling unfulfilled with, that they want change in but don't know how to begin creating that change for themselves. Sometimes clients are sent to me through their talk therapist when they have really understood at a conscious level what's going on within them, what's present in their inner worlds in terms of their behaviors, why they are the way they are, and also what maybe they need to do the next time they get activated. The thing is, in moments of activation, even though we want to respond a different way, we can't when there isn't yet a sense of a safe pathway that has been laid out and created within ourselves to make a different choice in that present moment. To our horror, we'll just find ourselves repeating the same circuitry over and over again, watching ourselves in action without being able to manage what's going on within us. Every single experience that we have undergone, whether or not we remember them, remains in the body. Our body holds all of these experiences. For the most part of our lives, whenever we undergo a situation, a conversation, an experience that feels a bit too much for us to process, to move through, maybe because we didn't know how to, or we weren't allowed to feel certain emotions. For example, exhibiting emotions and expressions of anger or sadness or jealousy or frustration or even rage and fury might not be allowed as we were growing up. As a result, we don't express these feelings so that we can be safe and we can continue with the status quo and continue moving through life, tucking them away in a drawer. We keep doing that until the drawer becomes so full and it overflows, it bursts open, and that's when a small thing could make us hysterical, and we don't understand why our expression and our reaction is so immense compared to what the situation looks like, and we might write ourselves off as being childish or being petty, but the truth is that we already were at capacity. There is no space to hold or to disregard how we feel any longer. In Somatic Alchemy, what we do is to create a sense of safety within ourselves and also within the container of the client and me, whereby we build the trust within the person so that we can open this drawer and allow for what's ready to come up at its own time. In Somatic Alchemy sessions, as the clients gradually feel safer and safer within themselves and also within the container of me and them, there is a very gentle releasing or surrendering of the holding on or the gripping or the clasping. As we continue working together over time, what I notice and really enjoy witnessing is the unfolding of truly what is their love story with themselves as they begin to practice slowly but surely unconditional acceptance of themselves and eventually to love every part as an equal. I have a client who shared with me that as a mother, it's easy for us to favor the child that makes us look the best and to feel triggered and activated by the children we might have that doesn't make us look quite as good as moms. I feel that it's no different from how we are with ourselves and with the inner child and the different parts within ourselves. We favor the parts of us that is able to succeed, the part that's able to work hard, the part that's really intelligent. We favor these parts because these parts make us look good. And then the parts that actually get us in trouble, we tend to snuff them out. And if we think about it, every child wants to be loved. So does every single part of us. Every part of us wants to belong, to feel welcomed, to feel safe, and to be loved. In this process, whereby we learn new ways and we learn different ways of how to love ourselves. When we move around the world, snuffing out different parts of us that we feel aren't serving us in this modern world, what happens is that we continue to go through life without really knowing who we are. And there has been so many instances whereby clients share with me, I don't know what makes me happy, I don't know what I like, I don't know what brings me joy, and I don't know what I want. And that is all signposts to say that they don't know themselves, which is fair because we grew up not necessarily learning who we are, but we grow up learning who not to be and also learning who we need to get approval from and how to get their approval. And this is how we've been shaped. So it's like being a pretzel, it's pretty stunted. It's not following our organic growth and expression of the acorn that is each and every one of us in our uniqueness and our individuality. So the process of Somatic Alchemy allows for every single client to get to learn the eccentricities, the uniqueness, the different strengths and characteristics of themselves, and to learn to love every single part of themselves. Once clients have a taste of their essence, once they have an idea of maybe this is me, they are able to then create a life that genuinely makes them happy. And it's not a life that they are living just to be safe or because it's been planned out for them or because it's just a way to do life, but to really curate different experiences and to make different decisions in their lives that truly bring them joy. When I was sold on somatics was when I read a specific article whereby my teacher, Tina Stromstedt, interviewed Marion Woodman. Marion Woodman is one of the very first few Jungian analysts who specialized in the body and the role that the body has in depth psychology, and it's about acknowledging how the body holds the shadow that we otherwise don't know how to meet, how to embrace the shadows that we haven't yet learned to come to terms with. And the body contains all of that. And there was a specific moment where Marion was in India. She was so sick and so close to death, and her soul left her body. Her soul floated up onto the ceiling and looked down at the body and judged it and was like this useless thing. And there was just thoughts of hatred, unkindness towards the body, and like her soul gave the body a kick because she was really not liking her feminine body. Then an image came in whereby she remembered her beloved dog had passed, and she spent all night awake with him, trying to resuscitate him and trying to keep him alive. Yet she was so ready to let her body go. So in that moment, she had a decision that she could make. She could choose to continue, or she could choose to just leave and die. And because of the image of her dog, her remembrance of how much she loved her dog and how much she fought for her dog's life, she decided to come back into the body, and that was a renewed relationship between her and her body. And when I read that article, I was brought to tears because it reflected how much I didn't like my body, and I didn't like being in my body, and I didn't know how I've been navigating and moving around in the world was dissociation. But recognizing myself in that article and how unkind and ungracious I have been with my body was the turning point where I decided to build, nourish, and cultivate a loving, beautiful relationship with myself and my body. And this was the moment where I decided to really treat my body like the temple that it is. Something that was really moving for me is recognizing how much the body holds all of the things and experiences that I've gone through, and I didn't know how to process, I didn't know how to feel, to move through. These energies, these feelings and emotions don't just dissipate and go away. My loyal body has been holding these things for me until there is a readiness within me, my ego consciousness, to process them. But until then, my body has been the vessel holding all of this untapped potential of the integration of who I can be, and also holding the potential of my becoming in this life and in this world. At the end of a somatic alchemy session, clients feel really tender, having met a new part of themselves that they have long forgotten, experiencing a deep, profound sense of love towards that part. My belief is that our souls seek wholeness, and our souls also seek evolution. And as such, we are going to magnetize to ourselves the exact people, relationships, bosses, jobs, colleagues, friends, and partners that are going to challenge us and trigger us. And the whole purpose of that is so that we can grow. When we meet with our own boundary, that's when we learn to lean in to the discomfort. And if we have been choosing things that kept us safe but hasn't really worked for us, if we go through that enough times, one day we are going to build enough capacity to leave that job, to leave the partner, to finally stand up for ourselves. And for most people, it takes many instances of doing the safe thing before doing the honest thing. For example, if someone is really unhappy at their workplace or unhappy and unfulfilled with their jobs, and also they don't yet have the courage to leave that job for fear that they cannot get a situation that's better than this one. What happens in somatic alchemy is that we learn that trust is something that we can cultivate internally within ourselves. trust and safety is not something that is external and outside of us. And yes, while we've been conditioned that trust and safety is out there, in somatic alchemy sessions, there is a felt experience of how trust, safety, steadiness, and everything we are looking for, everything that we have projected onto the job or the partner or the home, is truly within us. It's a felt experience, it's a lived experience. We learn to build a steady anchor within ourselves, and over time, we really learn to trust ourselves. We really learn that we are resourced, we are always resourced. And that's when we learn to cultivate the courage to make the difficult decisions, to take the leap of faith, and to truly believe in ourselves.